Trench Crusade is filled with horrors aplenty. Everywhere you look, there is darkness, fear, and violence. Sometimes, however, evil is pushed back, beaten down, burned into ashes, and the ground sanctified. Over time, communities can rebuild, plant crops, begin to grow again. War and fear are only a distant memory. But it is precisely in that moment of peace that this evil chooses to strike. The first signs are always small, consuming scraps of uneaten food at a banquet, a second serving when one might have sufficed, furtive glances out of the butcher's block. Those afflicted begin to complain of a gnawing emptiness, a persistent hunger that cannot be satiated, no matter how much they eat. Despite assurances, their hunger grows.
The Great Hunger is an official faction for Trench Crusade based upon the Black Grail. The idea behind this is that all the rules are going to be tournament legal, they're completely official and integratable with your Trench Crusade campaigns. What the Great Hunger is evil incarnate. It is the most disgusting, the most evil, the most malicious faction in the whole of Trench Crusade. A lot of the other factions are focused on cruelty and suffering and torture, but what the Great Hunger is really interested in is the complete end of life, the end of all existence.
I think it's a really exciting setting to be playing with, not only in terms of the models and how you can paint them, but also the stories that you can tell.
The inspiration behind the Great Hunger was a lot of horror and sort of like this idea of isolation and the unexpected death that kind of emerges from the sort of quiet, sort of peaceful areas of the world. And so the idea is that the Great Hunger kind of manifests and grows like a plague, and then it sort of almost completely disappears, and there's just these little tiny isolated pockets, and then unexpectedly it can reemerge again and consume all life in the vicinity, eventually growing and growing and growing until it becomes an army that will participate in larger battles in the Trench Crusade universe.
There's a big focus, of course, on thralls, the regular thralls and the fly thralls, and there aren't a bunch of fancy equipments or glory items, which is a kind of a fun, different way to approach it. It's very like from the earth, kind of low-tech horror rising up from these little villages and things around the world. So that's another really interesting aspect, is actually the way that you kind of build your warband.
We were inspired to create the Great Hunger because of a common interest that we shared with Mike, the sort of art director of Trench Crusade. And he's really fascinated with a lot of horror and a lot of like disturbing elements. So we wanted to really include that in sort of this Great Hunger reimagining of the Black Grail faction. And so what we tried to do is sort of strip some of the more high-tech things out of the Black Grail and give it sort of that low horror fantasy vibe that still has enough of the sort of World War I imagery to bring it into the Trench Crusade universe.
And now if this horror is sounding to your liking, you can sign up to get your own Great Hunger warband via the link in the description below. This will take you to the MyMiniFactory launch campaign that will be taking place over the month of October. The Great Hunger is available as both STL files via MyMiniFactory, or can be purchased as a physical product using this beautiful resin plastic hybrid. If you haven't experienced it before, it's a game changer material for high quality miniatures. It comes with minimal cleanup and has a resolution that I frankly have not seen before. This has been a first look at the Great Hunger, a brand new subfaction in Trench Crusade. And if you want to hear more about it, as well as get access to a whole host of extra Trench Crusade content, head on over to our brand new channel, Trench Titans, where we'll be posting battle reports, lore videos, and even hobby content covering all things Trench Crusade.